Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Michaela Peters. Today is this weird day where it's overcast, and I have a feeling it's going to be overcast for a while. Actually, I'm not really sure. Let's check the weather report. It's like 75 and sunny every day. Oh no, it is, well, it's supposed to get sunny at 4 o'clock. Alright, whatever. But yeah, I wanted to get this over with earlier in the day, so we're just gonna have to cope with the poor lighting, because usually I try to time this around the lighting. Still having issues with the water and drinking fancy sparkling water instead of tea. Tea would probably make more sense, but I'm just being lazy. Yeah, today I actually slept in until like 7:30, which is pretty late compared to the usual 6 o'clock. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really enjoying this time problem. I'm also just trying to figure out why I'm so tired. Going to swim meets, I think, has been taking a lot out of me, because there's a lot going on there. Very overstimulating. Don't really know. But anyway, I keep wanting to go through this list of topics I have that I would like to talk about, but because this is a business, I must do what the people want, and it seems that the people want me to keep talking about cultural stuff, which I guess is sort of the premise of this channel in some respects. So today I'm actually going to talk to you about the issue that I have with small talk, me generally not liking it, and, because there were a couple comments about that, and I think they're good comments. I think they make sense, but, obviously cultures are cultures and people are individuals, so you can be affected and influenced by your culture. It doesn't mean that you like it or you feel at home with it or you feel comfortable or it's like part of your identity all the time. So I'm going to start with, I hate small talk. I don't know why. I don't know if it's an autism thing. I don't know if it's a me thing. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I've never liked it my entire life. To the point where people have gotten very upset with me because I just immediately go up to somebody and say what I need to say, and it's not like where was the formality? Why didn't you say hi, how are you first? Nice to see you too. I've gotten tons of these remarks my entire life, and I'm just like, oh, sorry. And then I just keep going with what I'm going with because it was like, what was that? We just wasted our breath here. I obviously don't say that. It's just my thought bubble. But yes, I get the point of what people are saying is that being an American is just riddled with small talk. I'm going to tell a story to illustrate this. So I have a sister who's like 10 years old, me approaching 30. Naturally, people think she's my kid half the time. And one day I went to go pick her up at school. This is when she was at the school that's like closer to our house. So I just walked over there and I'm standing there waiting. I'm standing next to this other mom. Yeah, because again, they just assume I'm a mom. And she starts talking about Christmas shopping. Okay, yeah, I couldn't relate to that, to be honest, so I was like, okay, and, yeah, she just randomly started talking to me and telling me all about her Christmas shopping, and I was back from Finland, 2 days at this point, and I'm like, why is she talking to me? Also, this is another thing that I never mentioned that is very important that you need to know. People in New Jersey do not do small talk the way any other state does. Any other state. I've literally never been to another state where people are so averse to small talk as in New Jersey. Now with this mom, I don't know, maybe moms are staying at home and they're lonely sometimes. They're more likely to engage in small talk. I couldn't tell you. Also, it's not like no Finnish person ever has tried to talk to me randomly in a small talk way because the Finnish old people love to do that until I'm like, en puhu suomea, then they usually shut up because they realize that they're not going to get very far. Now, yes, so when I first moved to New Jersey, when I was 8 years old or 9 years old or however old I was, I noticed something unusual. The teachers used to do this thing where you would be in desks right behind each other, and then they would pass out some paper. And then in Maryland, where I was originally from, you used to have to say thank you when the person passed the paper. In New Jersey, nobody did that. And I was like, cool. So I can get away with talking less in this state. I like that. And it's so true. And this is another reason why I think New Jersey is a superior state, because you don't have to do small talk nearly as much as you do in literally any other state, especially the South. So people ask me, why do you not like the South? Because I don't like small talk. I don't like being fake. I don't like pretending like I care about people when I don't, which is what they do. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's just kind of how it is. I didn't really know that was a thing. Somebody told me, you know, like Southern hospitality, it's a thing, but it's also like it's fake. And yeah, probably. And the issue with that is that it leads to a lot of social constructs that I don't have prearranged scripts for in my brain, that it's just like short-circuiting my brain and I can't handle it. So you know, when I first moved to Texas and I was alone, at first I kind of liked this concept of the random people in the grocery store talking to me. But after a while, it just got annoying. I mean, I remember going to Whataburger. I've talked about Whataburger before on this channel because I remember putting a picture there. And, you know, they're like, have you been here before? And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, what? And then they're like, well, I recommend this. Okay, that was actually useful information. The other time, they looked at my driver's license when I was trying to buy beer, and they thought it was a fake. I guess because I've always looked so young, you know, so they probably thought I was not 21. Now, I have no idea, but they had to check it. And then they're like, oh yeah, like, you're new here? They're like, NASA's down the street. And I'm thinking, well, duh, I work there. But I didn't tell them that. I just was like, haha. I didn't really like telling people I worked at NASA. There was one time my grandmother told this guy who worked at the Space Center in Houston, which is the museum, that I worked at NASA, and I don't think I've ever seen such a strong look of envy in somebody's eyes. Like, I'm still disturbed recalling that memory. Okay, anyway, yeah, they just talk to you in Texas, and I don't like it because I don't know you, and like, we're not going to get into a conversation about something interesting in the 2 seconds we're talking to each other. If there's a purpose in the interaction, like, you know, asking for directions, giving information, requesting information, then I see a purpose. Like, that's why the Whataburger interaction was fine. I mean, theoretically, the NASA's down the street conversation should have been fine. I was just like, I already knew that, so I was kind of like, whatever. You know, I obviously didn't react that way. It was my thought bubble, as I always say. Yeah, sometimes I'm telling stories and I'll be like, this person did this, and then I was like, blah, 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 and then they're like, wait, what? You actually said that? I was like, no, it was my thought bubble. But it'll be like something really rude. No, I try really hard not to be rude, even though it doesn't always work. Okay, so, yes, in New Jersey, small talk is way less of a thing. I just don't like it because it just seems like a waste of energy. A lot of times also it will be like, to me, all right, I don't know if I'm introverted or extroverted. It changes like every other year. And I'd say I'm social. I wouldn't say that necessarily makes me extroverted all the time. But I feel like sometimes having these conversations drains my social battery, like these stupid ones that have no purpose. And then I just feel like I want to get away from the person, but I don't know how because I'm too polite. And then I get resentful after, and I'm like, why did I put myself through that? That's a me problem. I need to work on that. But I do end up in that situation sometimes. Captive audience, you know. Yeah, I just need to get better walking away. That's why I have 2 legs, you know, hopefully. All right, so, yeah, my point is, there are Americans who engage in small talk. It is part of the culture. That doesn't mean it's part of the culture that I subscribe to, and you can maybe relate this back to the joke I keep making about Finland being a country of autists, because like, the one joke about Finnish people is they hate small talk. Also, for those of you who don't know, supposedly small talk in the US came to exist because you had a bunch of neighbors from a bunch of different countries, and you were trying to determine whether they wanted to kill you or not. All right, that might be a little dramatic, but it was something like that. So, you know, you would need to talk to them to figure out kind of where you stood with them, and so that's where small talk emerged from, which it still makes some sense considering that we have such a melting pot of cultures and, you know, different backgrounds and all this stuff. Like, I even think about how confusing it is interacting with like each side of my family, because those interactions go very differently because they're, you know, different ethnic backgrounds. We're talking about like Jews versus Italians, and I don't know if Jews guilt trip. I mean, it's also like not that Jewish. It's like Jew / like British, but like the kinds that have been in America for far too long. So they're basically like overly American at that point. I don't know. So yeah, I don't like small talk. That's kind of the whole point of this. I think it's dumb, but I've also always been that person where if I go to a party, I end up talking to some random person in the corner for 20 minutes about like some actual deep topic, if you will, which, I mean, mostly it's just actually getting to know the person, and then I like know things about them, and it's not like we're just joking about like a pineapple or something random. I don't know, like, I've seen like other people be able to do that kind of stuff, and it's kind of like I sit there and I watch and it feels like they're an alien or something. Well, I just don't get how they do it. It's cool and it's very interesting for me to observe, but like I don't think any amount of like pre-autistic scripting could get me to the point where I would be able to have an interaction like that with somebody. No, can't think of it. I did have a group of like 10 friends in high school who were all girls, and like they thought I was funny, and so sometimes it would be like that with them. But otherwise, no, I cannot recreate that moment. Never have been able to. Yeah, so, yeah, I think that, look, I agree. I think it's a cornerstone of American culture to engage in small talk and think that that's something you're supposed to do to be polite and it's expected. I've just never liked it, and as much as I can get out of avoiding doing it, I won't do it. So again, it's just like I love New Jersey because you don't have to do that in New Jersey. Like people, and this is a complaint, a lot of people don't like New Jersey. Most people in America think New Jersey is like a terrible state. Why? Because people from New Jersey are rude. They're not rude. They're just not going to talk to you. And so I kind of actually disagree a bit with the comments, and you can come at me for this, I don't care, with being like, oh, well, Germans are just direct. There's a difference between being direct and being rude, okay, which is like what I'm going to get into now. So again, going back to the conveying certain information, that's fine, but it's also about like tone and the kind of attitude you're giving somebody. If they're not getting it the first time and then you're like trying to repeat it, okay, keep your composure. But these people all were literally giving me a hard time. I think the fact that a customer service representative cut me off mid-sentence to help somebody behind me, I think that's rude. Sorry, like you're not doing your job. You're literally getting paid to do this thing. So, I mean, if you want to say, hold on, can I please help this guy and then go back to your request, that's different. But shooing me away altogether, that's rude. That's bad customer service. It's like literally you're not doing your job. So like I'm going to say like I don't really think that every German person I interacted with wasn't being rude. I think that's like an example of like that's actually rude and that's not direct. So you can argue me on this, whatever. It's just that's my opinion. So yeah, I think that like, yes, I talk about a lot of reasons I don't like the US, and I would agree small talk is one that I don't like it, right? Like it doesn't matter that I grew up here and I've spent most of my life here, like I don't like it. It's like I stay in the US because it's an easier place to earn money. I've discussed this, whether you want to say that's materialistic or have an issue with that, it's your opinion. I don't care. And again, with having family and this whole fourth or fifth generation Italian, whatever I am, and you must care about your relatives, that is ingrained in me, whether I like it or not. So, yeah, those are all the things about, why I'm here, despite really not fitting in with the culture. And again, I don't think it's necessarily like you grow up in a culture and you feel at home in a culture. I always say I was born in the wrong country. I felt that way my whole life. Don't know where I was supposed to be born. A lot of times I said it was an Asian country, although they work more. That sounds terrible. Although maybe that would be for me. But they have the best food, in my opinion. Yeah. All right, that's really all I have, and I hope that kind of helps clarify or answer some things, or at least impress upon you the fact that if you don't like small talk and you want to come to the US, I'm going to advertise New Jersey and New York City. Definitely New York City. Definitely. Upstate New York, maybe not. I'm not sure. I haven't spent that much time there. And they're a bit more rural. Places where there are a lot of people are usually the places you can get away with talking less, if that's your goal. All right. Well, my goal is now to keep working. So until next time, bye.